Welcome to the Rainmaker Podcast, a show for people who are obsessed with all things marketing. I'm your host, Veronica, Romney, certified master marketer, international keynote speaker, workshop facilitator, and the author of a new book called Identity Marketing. Each week, I interview rainmakers from brands big and small to pull back the curtain on what's actually working in marketing today. We dig into real-life wins and losses, and there's very real consequences, and get into spicy discussions of marketing controversies and opposing philosophies. This is the real marketing thought leadership you've been looking for in your ears on demand. This is the Rainmaker Podcast. Welcome back to the Rainmaker Podcast. This podcast episode is all about my favorite form of marketing, email marketing. I started my career doing email marketing deployments for Ancestry.com, and I got to bring on my guest, Allison Hardy, who's an email expert, to talk all things email. And in fact, one of the highlights of the episode is we both disclosed what we feel is the number one fatal flaw of email marketing today. So I think you're going to really enjoy this. If email is a priority for you in your business, you're definitely going to want to take some notes. Please welcome my guest, Allison Hardy. Allison, welcome to the podcast.
Veronica, thank you for having me.
I'm excited. I was telling you right before we push record that email has a very special place in my heart. I literally started my paid career as a marketer being an email marketing manager at Ancestry.com, which is like, it's been a minute. I was like 20 years old deploying millions of emails a week. I'm like, who gave me this job? But that's how I kind of started right outside of school. And I still to this day am unapologetic about the value of emails, email campaigns, multivariate testing, all of that. I know I've gotten into debates before about other platforms and other means of sales, but I'm like, nothing comes close to email sales.
Yeah.
And I know that you also are unapologetic in your point of view. So this will be a fun conversation.
I'm looking forward to it.
Tell me how you first started your relationship with email marketing. How did you know this was the discipline that you'd be talking about for almost a decade?
Yeah, I got really sold on it when I got laid off from my
That
job.
will do it.
I got laid off while I was teaching college level art. That was, the thing I was going to do for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was 6 months pregnant and I got called into HR and I was like, why am I getting called into HR? I don't even understand what's going on. And then I got laid off. And I had this like super fledgling part-time business that I would like randomly do every now and then.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, maybe this is it. Maybe like I'm going to go full-time here because like I was teaching college level art now 6 months pregnant. Nobody was going to hire me. Like no matter what anyone said.
I'm
like,
surprised they fired you legally. Like I'm shocked.
I know. So, I needed a sustainable way of growing my business. And I tried all the live stuff at first. I tried, social media and all the live things and the collaborations, and that stuff is great and wonderful. But at the end of the day, if I was looking at like where sales came from, it was email marketing, 100%.
Okay. So it was born out of necessity. Dire straits. This is like the story of every entrepreneur.
Right. I know.
Like you come across a problem no one will solve, or you're basically put baby in a corner and baby rises, right? So this is just fascinating. Entrepreneurship is like where we rejects go, but then the rejects become the hero of the narrative. Do you know what I mean? It's like the ultimate comeback story.
Yeah.
So here we are, you're still preaching email from the streets all these years later. Well, let's talk about the myth of email marketing is dead, or the fact that these email service providers now, on their own email, open your email. So now you can't even like how valid are open rates anymore? How valid are these rates anymore? Like there's a lot of some, fears and phobias around the direction that I think email marketing is going. Where do you kind of stand on some of that?
Yeah. I mean, if we look at social media, for example, and we look at it over the course of the past 2 years, for example, things have massively changed over there, right? Like reels are completely different now. The whole platform is completely different. Like everything is different. Email marketing, yes, while it has changed, there hasn't been as massive of changes like social media has. So yes, while it's changing now, and I think it's a valid concern that people have, about how things are performing and how email marketing is presenting itself these days. I always go back to it's not changing as rapidly as social media.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So an email that you sent out like a year ago probably could still get similar results for you. Whereas social media posts you created, 6 weeks ago probably won't get you the same results it
Mm.
got 6 weeks ago. So while valid and while something we need to consider, I don't think that email marketing is going anywhere, and I don't think its effectiveness is going to go anywhere.
Interesting.
Um, I think we just need to adjust, as
Sure.
these changes roll out. Like it's our job as entrepreneurs to be resilient and to be like, okay,
Yeah.
we're going to figure this out now.
Yeah.
And that's, as you said earlier, that's what we do.
That's what literally we are like the most resourceful, pragmatic individuals on the planet. Every day we're confronted with stuff that we have no idea what we're doing. We're
Yeah.
just winging it. It's like parenting, winging it. Can we talk about AI?
Hmm.
Because I think that's the other thing too that, like, I love marketing deeply. It's like this cross section of art and science. It's a craft to me. And I'm such a proponent of tools. I love a good tool. I love all of the aids. But then there's AI that's getting so good
Hmm.
at doing the creativity, the art for us. Like even now, universities are literally like expelling students if they find out that papers were submitted with AI, because now they have like technology that can detect the AI ish or in it. Um, but then I'm in Gmail and AI is trying to help me write my emails. So talk to me about where you stand on AI in regards to email marketing. Yes, no, use it cautiously. Like, just where do you draw the line for yourself?
I think it's like everything, like take it with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm,
So I'm not against it at all.
mm-hmm,
I've
mm-hmm,
created
mm-hmm,
like bots that have my email templates like put into
mm-hmm.
them, and I can plug in information and it populates it for me. So when I think about AI, I think of it as like a tool to help us speed up our time.
Mm.
I can, plug that information into my bot and it spits out 7 emails in 2 minutes. And because I've trained it to have my voice and my strategy and the way I think about things.
Mhm,
Like when I get
mhm.
those emails back, I'm like, all right, those are good. So, I'm like,
All
oh,
right, Chatty, I see you.
right. So, like, I think it's just like anything. Use it as a tool to
Mhm,
help you
mhm,
do things
mhm,
potentially better or maybe faster.
mhm.
And it's not the end all be all. I don't think that anything will replace like the human heart.
So here's what I want to ask you.
Mhm.
Like if you had the 10 commandments of email marketing in 2025, like
Uh,
what are your non-negotiables? You're gonna die on the hill, non-negotiables.
Yes. You have to email often. And I'm not talking like every day, but you need to be a familiar face in
Mm,
someone's inbox. So that's the first one. And then the second one would be like the fake scarcity crap doesn't work anymore.
amen.
Like people can see through that. People know it. So, the fake bonuses and like the fake like cart values that we were always taught to do. Like, oh,
I
this is
I roll.
$18,000 and you can
Mm-hmm,
get it for $27. Say,
mm-hmm,
like, no,
mm-hmm,
like that's wild.
mm-hmm.
So those two things are kind of like my perspective and how I think about email marketing. If I'm going to boil it down to like two things.
Okay. So you're like, what is it? I think I've heard this before. Somebody, I don't know if it was Donald Miller or somebody, I saw it somewhere where it's like, it's better to be seen than not at all. So even if they don't click on your email, the fact that they see your little profile picture or your little icon, your little logo, it's still real estate. It's still an impression. It's still like a drop in the subconscious that you're in business and that you have something that you're trying to communicate.
Yeah.
Um, that's interesting though about the scarcity. Cause I did a podcast with Amy Porterfield recently on her show, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
But there was a moment between us where we debated, which I thought was like, ooh. I love debates. I mean, I love, especially between women, especially with women who are confident in their skin, who can like openly debate and mentally ping pong with each other intellectually, and it doesn't make anybody feel less than. Yes to more of that. But she was like, no, I believe in urgency and scarcity, and like you have to give people a compelling reason to act. If not, they're not going to. And I'm like, yes. And I also think that the number one sentiment of buyers today is distrust.
Mm-hmm.
And so using and leveraging real urgency, like Taylor Swift is really coming into Toronto. This is really the end of the concert series. Like, this is really it. Okay, fair. Scarcity, like, there really are limited seats at the arena. Like, I can't add more seats. It is what it is. Like, legally, the fire code will only let me have 50,000 people in the stadium, right? Like, leveraging real urgency and scarcity all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you and I are against is the fake, manipulative. I decided it was 20 seats. I decided that this PDF was worth $2,000. Said who? We are the creators of fake or inauthentic urgency, scarcity, FOMO. Because I'm with you. Like, knowing that people filter their Amazon reviews by shittiest reviews at the top to really know what the hell they're buying. Same thing with restaurant reviews or Airbnb reviews. Like, we literally want to know the dirt 1st. If you know that is literally the buyer who is checking you out, why would you only further prove their point by having the fakeness that you and I speak of?
Yeah. I mean, I think that people have gotten really smart in how they buy. I think 2020 and beyond made it so that there's lots of skeptical people, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So I think the minute you introduce that sleazy bro marketing, fake scarcity is the minute you lose that trust, and people buy because there's something in them that trusts a part of you at least. So why lose that trust when you have that fake scarcity? But I do agree with Amy Porterfield. I do think there is a time and a place for urgency, and I think you can have both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So I think there's like a really beautiful, like, gray area there.
Can you give me examples? Like, if we're not, I love those Instagram reels where, like, we don't do this, we do this. We listen, we don't judge. No, but also we're like, you'll see the same like influencer on the left side of the screen and, like, this is me eating $2,000 2,000 calorie burgers, and then on the right side it's like, this is how I eat a lean burger, like, whatever. I think people really love the this or that or the comparisons. So if we're saying no to fake ass bonuses, no to fake urgency and scarcity, then what are we saying yes to still be compelling enough to get people to act?
Yeah. Give them a reason to buy. So, like, what is their pain point? What is the thing they're experiencing? What's the thing they want to move through? Where's like the knowledge gap that they have? They want this, they're here, they don't know how to get to the solution, and that's what you have to offer them. So how can you fill in the empty space? So is it that, and it depends on the audience, right? So, like, is it that you can give them like a limited time discount? Is it that you can offer up a really awesome bonus, but you actually do only have like space in your calendar for 5 of them or whatever it is, So, like, thinking about your ideal client, how they're motivated, what sort of bonus or urgency can you give them that would actually serve them, would actually help them, would actually get them to move forward, and then offering that to them and just plainly saying, like, this is the thing that I know you probably need or want. And so we're going to do it if you buy within the next 4 days or whatever it is. And I do think people are taking longer to buy. So I think the days of like the 2-day open cart period for like a course or something are over. I think like we're looking more at like 5 days for people to like let it marinate in their head and like figure out if it actually is for them. Because what we don't want people doing is buying from a place of lack, right? We want them to feel empowered. We want them to feel like, oh, this is actually the right decision. And I'm excited to get this bonus, or I'm so pumped that you offered that discount. That was so incredibly helpful. So you want them from that sort of mindset instead of like, oh, I bought because I thought I had to. We don't want that anymore. That doesn't work.
Is there too much? I've had this question before. Like, is a sales page ever too long? Is there such thing as too many emails in a launch?
I don't think so. I've gotten like 6 emails from someone one time on a last cart close day. And quite honestly, it doesn't bug me. I also like to read emails. So like that might be part of this.
Yeah.
But I also, again, it goes back to knowing your ideal client. So if you're like a business to customer, you don't work with other business owners. Like us business owners, we can get a lot of information in one day because we know marketing, right? We understand what's going on. But for someone who's, they're a teacher, let's use that as an example, like they don't want to get a ton of emails in their inbox. So knowing your ideal client, I think really well is a great jumping off point to like what's too much and what's not enough. I also think that emails, there's too many when you're not giving them actual like something of sustenance, right? You want your emails to be value filled. You want them to actually feel like you're helping them. You want to remind them instead of just like, here's a ton of information. Here you go. You know, it's like a different way of presenting the emails too.
Yeah.
So like, why should they open the emails?
Yeah. Can we talk about subject lines? Because we're
Yeah.
talking about opening emails.
Mm-hmm.
Subject line is like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the gold, the Mecca, like the chariot. I don't know. It's just it's the thing.
Yeah.
You mentioned strategies and feeding Chatty some strategies of yours. What are some strategies that you have around subject lines and subject line optimization?
Yeah. I think it's different for every audience, but I do think that having things where you can like see the transformation in the subject line is really helpful. So like she lost 50 pounds in 5 weeks, or you know, whatever it is, like having a number bound sort of transformation is helpful for illustrating what your clients have done. I also think like random seeming subject lines can be really helpful. So like I sent one out earlier today and it got a 40, I think 45% open rate. And it was like, I built this in my basement. And they're like, what? Like, what is she talking about? So like kind of like the random, a little bit more obscure subject lines, I think can be really helpful. Or like 3 words, something really, really short. So that they're like, what is this? You know, there's like that curiosity there. But I do think it all goes back to like curiosity. So what does your audience find to be interesting? What do they find to be mysterious? What do they find to be exciting? And relaying that in the subject lines. And you can also like, something I do with ChatGPT is I'll have like the email written, and if I'm like super stuck on the subject line, I'll put in like a part of the email that I really like a sentence maybe. I'll put it in ChatGPT and I'll say, can you reduce this down to like 4 words? And just see like what it comes up with, because then it'll kind of help you to get some ideas flowing so that you have that shorter, concise subject line.
How do you go about learning your reader?
Yeah. Yeah. I think about my like perfect ideal client. So like we all probably have examples of like this client was awesome to work with. They did the work, they saw the results, they were super excited. Um so like what was it that was motivating to them? What did they really want out of your time with them? Why did they buy your thing? Why did they work with you? And speaking to them, because I think when you can speak to them, you'll attract more of them to you, which is also very helpful. Um, and also like part of email marketing is getting people to be like, this person's not for me. Like we want to repel some people because they're not ideal. So making sure that you're very clear with who it is that you serve, how you help them, the work that goes into it, you know, things like that, like the very practical side of working with you. Is great for getting those ideal clients into your program and to open your emails.
Do you do a lot of testing with your emails?
I do a lot of I use Kit, so you can test subject lines within specific emails. So like if I'm, let's say, advertising like a podcast episode one day, I'll do 2 different subject lines. One will be like transformation based and the other will be like more obscure, and I'll see like which one works. And so I just kind of have like a catalog now of subject lines that work really well for my audience, and I can then pick from them. I can use them again, or I can, you know, zhuzh them up in a different way. And so like I know pretty clearly like what works well for my audience at that point, because again, I've tested it, I've seen the data, and we've used the data to drive our decisions when it comes to the subject lines.
Yeah, makes sense. I almost want like, I kind of want to ask you like, what is it that I'm not asking you that you wish that I would?
Oh, great question. What is that you're asking me? Yeah, I think like the number one fatal flaw of email marketing, like what is it?
What is it? Tell me. Yeah, tell me. What is it?
I think it is not like testing the actual content in your emails. So you can like get people to open your emails all day long, right? Like that's great. But unless they're like doing something with the email, then it's totally pointless. So you like the goal really of emails is to get people to click to whatever it is that you're driving traffic to. Sales page, podcast episode, blog post, whatever it is the thing that you're doing. So like testing what that actually looks like for your audience. And so I think like launches are a really good example of this. So let's say you're doing a masterclass and you start advertising 2 weeks out. Like those emails that invite people to your masterclass should be drastically different from one another so that you can see, okay, this one hit really well, or this one was a total flop. So the one that hit really well, you're going to do more of that. And so the next time you're in the masterclass or, do whatever, okay, this is like the style of email that worked really well for the lead generation for this masterclass. Okay, cool. So you can take that and then create iterations of that. And you can keep like dialing down your emails until you have this like very systematic method. That's what I did with all of my email marketing. That's how I developed the entire system that I teach my clients, is like through that like nerdy testing and being relentless in what that actually looks like for you. So like really getting to the heart of what the thing is that your people want to hear from you. And you never know what that is until you try it and you see what happens. And I know that's like frustrating for people to hear, but it's true.
Yeah. And then, doubling down on that. Do you start sometimes testing your content or angles or hooks with social media, and then if it pops off on social media, then you dedicate an entire email? I've heard some people like their testing ground will either be X or Threads, and then whatever wins there gets promoted to Instagram and Facebook, and then whatever wins there gets promoted to YouTube. Do you use other platforms to validate content or messaging before you touch the email?
Yes. Threads, I would love to say that I spend time on Threads. I just can't like swing it. So I do all of this on Instagram, but I love stories. Like that's like my favorite part of Instagram is Instagram stories. So that's like where I talk to people. That's where like they fill out polls and they answer questions, and then that allows me to DM them. And so I can have those conversations because it's kind of like permission based DMing to have a conversation. So I base it off of that. And then when I create content, it's usually based on, what people say they wanted more of through stories and the words that they say in the conversations we have. And then, if it popped off on Instagram, then it goes into an email for sure.
Got it. That's cool. That's really cool. Again, it just shows intentionality and shows like strategic thinking. Like how can I, because I think landing in an inbox, it's like if you're going to send a text to the person that you're dating, and it's like in those early days, you kind of like, they each count. Like there's less runway or less space to like have a cringe moment. Or what do they say in that show? Nobody wants this. Yuck. Like the yuck factor. Like, oh no, he's hit yuck. It's whatever. That's so funny. It's true. And so, especially in those early days when you first acquire an email address and you're starting to build rapport and you're building this relationship with their inbox, like the last thing you're going to want to do is mess that up early on. So I think testing in other platforms, or even like in the book that I wrote, there's a story of Nicole the intern, and they got permission to start a brand new Instagram account from zero, as opposed to leveraging the existing brand's Instagram account as like their playing field. And then that account, the test account, exploded and hit like 527,000 followers in 60 days. So now that's the new brand account. But it gave them freedom to be goofy and creative as much as possible because the stakes were lower, the risk was lower because they didn't use the main brand account. And I think too often we like only stay within the bounds of like our corporate or brand assets, when really we as marketers with free social media platforms have flexibility to like be creative and use accounts that we wouldn't otherwise, just to play and create and be in a creator's lab. So I really like that tip.
Yeah, it's not that serious. Like you can have fun, right?
Yeah, I used to train the rainmakers, and I would say like, we're marketers, we're not like brain surgeons. Like you can't really. I mean, if I didn't get fired for emailing all of our paid subscribers at ancestry.com, dear #first name #, because it never dynamically pulled their first name, and I didn't get fired for that, there's a lot more grace. Okay, so we do this fun thing on the podcast where the last question, actually, the guest gets to ask me whatever they want because I got to ask you whatever I wanted. So I'll leave the last question for you.
Oh my gosh. So I love this. I saw this in the like confirmation email and I was like, oh, what am I gonna ask her?
Okay.
um, so from your perspective, I
Yeah.
guess, what is the biggest fatal flaw that you see
In
marketers
emails?
making?
I'm not a big fan of vanilla.
Hmm.
Like, if you're sending a neutral, like a neutral tone email, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. I just feel like if I'm going to land in your inbox, it's either going to have a strong point of view. It could be my strong point of view, but it's still a strong point of view. Or it's a very persuasive argument as to why I do think you should come, or I do think you should do this, or I do think that you should donate, act, whatever. I just feel like if your email doesn't elevate my emotions in some it could piss me off, it could bring me to tears, it could I have the urge to share it with 6 friends immediately. Like, if you're not raising my blood pressure in some capacity, I think it's a waste of space in 2025. And I'm not saying that you have to like be screaming in every email. Like, we're not ragey. I think actually a lot of people have a really strong, quiet power that they still don't tap into. And so I just feel like a fatal flaw for me is just the neutrality. Stop playing Switzerland. Stop trying to be liked. Stop trying to make the email work for any single person who could possibly read it, even though that they're on your subject, even though you have an email address on your email list, it doesn't mean that everybody is qualified to work with you. And so I don't know. I'm getting more and more bullish about people being unapologetic, having non-negotiables, having a really strong point of view, and leaning into conviction or bust.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah. Sometimes I get these emails and they're like Polly Pocket emails, and I'm like, get the freak out of here. Like, I got no time for these fluffy Polly Pocket emails. I just don't. Either light a hole in my pants or not. Like, I don't even like, yeah, that's just, sorry, I get really
No, I love it. I think I agree. I think especially in 2025, like you need to be strongly opinionated, no matter what it is. And it can be about a big thing, a little thing.
Yeah.
We just need to have a clear perspective.
It's funny because as a speaker, some of the alternative forms of speaker development is like taking an improv class or even taking singing lessons, not because you have any intentions of being a comedian or being a singer, but because it helps you master your voice. It helps you master the unrehearsed moments that could happen on stage. But the same thing with marketers. Like, if you've never taken a debate class, may I suggest you look at that alternative form of education to just getting Google Analytics certified. Like, I really feel like people don't understand the power of persuasion and being persuasive. And if you're in a marketing capacity, especially in any type of writing capacity, in emails, social media, anything, like, be persuasive. Because if you genuinely believe that you're supposed to help somebody, then wouldn't you be more persuasive in that pursuit? I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, I get it.
Great question. Thank you. And also, Allison, thank you for just even being on the podcast. Where can people connect with you further?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Find me on Instagram. My handle is Allison_Hardy_.
Perfect. Okay. Well, we will link to all your things in our show notes anyways. But thank you again for being on today's Rainmaker podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening today. If you've loved what you heard, make sure to rate the show, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps us get the Rainmaker podcast in front of more passionate marketers just like you. And if you're ready to transform your marketing from buy this to be this, pick up my new identity marketing book available on my website at veronicaromney.com. Until next time, my friends, keep making it rain.